Welcome back to the From the Farmyard podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to be going over a couple common health problems that may occur in your flock. Because when you get chickens, sicknesses can occur in your flock and with your hens or roosters or whatever you have. So we're just going to go over a couple of the illnesses that might. Yes, go ahead.
You can continue, but let me add something after. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I just want to add something.
Yeah, that's fine. But we're just going to be going over a couple illnesses that may occur in your flock, stuff that we've dealt with and we've treated, so from our experience, and stuff that we've researched and we've learned about. So go ahead now.
Yes. And these do range from like most, I don't know the right word, I can't think of it right now. Like severe. They range from severe to not very severe.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, some of them are way easier to treat. Some of them don't really have a treatable solution.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there are, but outcomes are very low with some of these. Right. But you said it, this is from our own experience. And also some things that I've learned. I mean, some things that I'm going to say are from me hearing different things from different chicken keepers that have been doing this way longer than I've even been alive. So let's get started. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I can. I mean, we both pretty much have the same list. So I think a big one, and it occurs with a lot of hens, would be egg bound. And egg bound is something that I've had on my farm, but I've tried to treat it. I did all of the steps, but I wasn't successful. And that's something with your health with your flock. You'll win some and you'll lose some. And that's something with farming that you just have to accept in the end. You did your best, you tried your hardest, and it just didn't work out the way you wanted to. And that's something I definitely had to accept last year for me. I worked hard at a lot of sick birds. So but I've learned a lot, and now I'm sharing this knowledge with you all from my own experiences. So egg bound. How do you know if your hen's egg bound? So typically, and this is a hen problem, this isn't a rooster problem, obviously, because it's like a I just wanted to specify that in case you didn't know. This is specifically a hen problem. But
a hen that has already started laying, or
yes.
Yeah, who's been laying previously.
So how to tell if your hen is egg bound? Typically, it really depends how egg bound they are. I mean, what an egg bound hen is the egg is stuck. It's stuck in there and they can't pass it. And typically what it's caused by is maybe soft-shelled eggs, which is lack of calcium in their diet, or it's maybe odd-shaped eggs, like those double yolkers that we all love, like the little treasures that we like to find in the nest boxes. That is something that definitely it can get stuck in there. So the chicken will kind of dependent upon where the egg is at, if it's further, don't want to go into too much detail here because it is kind of, you have to, like, what helped me is looking at a the
diagram.
The anatomy of the chicken, the diagram. Look at how the chicken body works. That's what really helped me. So just like a little advice, if you have an egg bound hen, like, I suggest looking at that to kind of give you a what's the word I'm looking for? To give you an idea of what is going on inside there. But the egg is stuck, and it could be in just a weird lodged way. I don't know, but how to get it out mainly, because treatment obviously sorry, I'm all over the place.
You're good.
Epsom salt bath. A lot of people recommend that, and that's basically to just calm the muscles because the chicken is like, I mean, those muscles are probably so sore from just pushing because obviously their goal is to get that out and it's stuck. So they're pushing, they're putting a lot of effort into it, and that can cause like if it can cause like labored breathing, they can have issues. I mean, there's like a amount of time. How much is it? Is it like before they die? Is it like 48?
I think it's 48, but after 24 is when you usually start seeing a decline,
Yeah.
like significant decline. But another solution that I'll say before you continue is maybe just soak with warm water. I mean, you can do Epsom salt as
Yeah.
well. Epsom salt's really good. Not discrediting that. But also do use lukewarm water. Don't
Yeah.
use cold water and don't use water that's too hot. And if your hen is going back outside, if your hen is going back outside and it is cold outside,
Yeah.
let her dry off inside, dry her off, let her get her feathers back before in working order before you put her back out there because that can be really detrimental and cause even more
Yeah.
harm.
And to help her pass it, the bath is a good way to just like relax the muscles. And then I've heard a lot of people say you can massage the abdomen, but it really depends because if it's a soft-shelled egg, my fear of massaging is like if the shell breaks inside the chicken, then you've got a whole nother issue. Like that's just bad. So if
If
you
the
are
shell
massaging, like be very, very careful.
if
This is serious. So
yeah,
you gotta be very gentle, very careful with that.
if the skin or if the egg does break, 99% of the time it's fatal
Yeah.
because I mean it's a sharp eggshell that is going to puncture and pierce and rip and tear the oviduct, and it's going to really hurt her. And most of the time there is no survival
Right.
from that point. There are ways to get it out after it's already been broke. I've seen it happen
Yeah.
on a vet show that I watched, but that's like vet level.
Yeah.
Like if you take it to the vet, that's what kind of level that's at. So, and not a lot of people are willing to spend that much money on
Mm-hmm.
chicken, and most vets won't even take poultry at all.
And a lot of it too is if the egg yolk gets stuck, if the eggshell does break in there and the egg yolk gets stuck, typically it'll start to become like it'll get like bacteria, and then it'll just start like just it's just real nasty, not fun. So I mean, if you have that issue, like you said, vet. If you're not willing to take it to a vet, I mean, I'm sure there are YouTube videos that would be very helpful
Yeah.
if you're. I mean, YouTube is a great place to learn stuff like that. But I haven't been successful with Eggbound, and it was really it's sad because obviously she lived longer than the 48 hours, which was really surprising. But I just wasn't able. I gave her the baths often. There's like an amount of time, and there's a ton of videos out there showing you how to treat an egg-bound hen. So if you have an egg-bound hen, I totally recommend that. Just looking up videos, there's so many, and it gives you a real good like overview of it. But we weren't successful with treating ours, but we did our best, and hopefully next time if I have it again, I'll know what to do. But typically my hens are pretty good at, and it's rare that a hen will become egg bound because obviously their bodies are designed to do that daily. So they're just like they're really good at it, even if it is a double yoker. They're really just know what they're doing and they get her done.
Yeah. Another thing that kind of goes along with egg bound that can happen hand in hand or on its own is vent prolapse.
Yeah.
It's basically the hen was pushing too hard to get the egg out, or just pushing in general. It can happen at night when they're sleeping and pooping.
Yeah.
But their insides basically pop out. It's
Yeah.
very
It's
disgusting.
very
And
nasty. It's
it is.
nasty.
And I've seen things where it's successful, where you can just push it back in.
Yeah, we don't want
And
to go into detail with this because it's real
yeah,
nasty. Look up, like you
it is.
said, look up a YouTube video. I'm telling you, they're out there. I learned how to do it. I did it. I was successful with it. It worked.
Yeah.
It
But one
takes
thing with that,
a lot of time, a lot of tries. You're not gonna get it first try, and I say that because I did it.
mhm.
You're not gonna get it first try. Like, I was out there multiple times every day, and it took like over a week for sure. I mean, it took forever to get to just fix her up, and you got to be careful with it
And
too,
usually,
because go ahead.
no, you go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. With the vent prolapse, as you're reinserting it, a medication I like to use, because it's an internal item. This should not be outside. So you gotta watch with, like, you gotta keep it. Oh my gosh. This is so nasty. I'm sorry, y'all. You gotta keep it clean, and you got to I like to use a spray that you can get from Tractor Supply, I think sells it. You can get it off Amazon too. But Vetterson, I'll put a link for it in the description. But you just spray it on there, and it keeps it, it's a good, I think it's an antibacterial,
I think so too.
disinfectant. I don't know what it is exactly, but it keeps it clean, and it just I think it definitely helped with my hen. But just a little something that I would recommend using.
Yeah. With vent prolapse, just as nasty as it, I mean, it's not, what I'm going to say is not really as nasty as what we've said a second ago. But if it happens one time and you are successful at getting it back
Reinserting.
in, exactly, the hen will be susceptible for it to happen
Yeah.
much more throughout her life. It's not
Yeah.
something that it's one and done. I mean, there has been cases. I'm not saying that it can't happen,
Right.
but most of the time, something that will recur over her entire life.
Right.
So that's something that we need to look at. And I'm not sure. I don't think it's like genetic or anything. I'm not
I
really
think it
sure. I'm
just,
not looking at that.
if it happens, it happens, and
Yeah,
it's because obviously it's not supposed to do that. It's not. That's
exactly.
not normal. It's not normal.
Yeah.
But it will. You will have it again and again, possibly, because obviously those muscles have now become weaker, and it's just prone to falling out more. That was probably the nastiest one we had on here. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
It
Like for
was
sure.
just, yeah, it's not a fun one to deal with, and if you have it, it's not a normal thing. I've only had it once, and I have like 20 some birds. It's rare that it happens, but if it does,
Yeah.
you know what to do.
I've had it one time with 60. So it's really not.
Exactly.
And it's any breed. It's not just this particular breed. But this is really the last one on the medical side. I think the rest of them are just I mean, it is, the rest are still medical, but this is like one of the last ones that, I don't know how to word it. It's one of the last ones that are like being egg bound and vent
Internal.
prolapse, things like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Internal.
I didn't know where you were going with
But
that, but I thought I'd just maybe throw
yeah,
something out there.
it definitely, yes, internal. Coccidiosis.
Yeah.
If you want to look it up, I'll spell it really quick. Coccidiosis. I had no clue how to spell it at first. I spelled it 3 times, and I've known how to spell it the rest of the time. It is something that is naturally found in the ground. But when a hen gets it, it mutates kind
Yeah.
of to where it's going to actually like go out and spread like a virus and affect all your birds.
Yes.
That's how I've understood it. And the solution for that is, from my end, is Corid.
Yes.
You can get it at Tractor Supply. It is pricey, but it's the only thing. And the thing with this is you need to keep it early. It signs are, I had this with my youngest group. I lost two because I had no clue what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at different things. I took a picture. I was posting in Facebook groups. I was like literally everywhere I was posting this. And someone finally told me, we went and got Corid, and then nothing really got more severe after that point. But it did get better, but it did take probably 5 to 7 days for it to get better. And they were on the treatment, I think they say 10 to 14 days. But you mix Corid in with their water, and it's just something that you
there's measurements for it on the bottle, I think. So if you get it, it'll tell you how much to do.
But one thing I want to stress with Corid, and this is what I've told everybody with Coccidiosis, because I did not know this, and I almost lost a decent portion of my flock, not just the original two, from Coccidiosis, was they need vitamins when they are dealing, or when you are using Corid. Corid completely depletes vitamins, and it will leave them so just drained. Vitamins that I use or things that I use to be able to help with this is B12. Anything that says Rooster Booster, I would really look at that though, and just see if what you're getting is right. Somebody at Tractor Supply. And Nutri-Drench is a good thing. It's vitamins that are right at the ready. So I will say this right now, just in something really short, so we can like clip it or whatever later on. When you are treating for coccidiosis with Corid, you need to use vitamins. Corid depletes all vitamins, period. That you can't stop that. They need vitamins. B12, Rooster Booster, and Nutri-Drench are all great ways to replenish. They can be water. They can be orally given. Same thing with Corid. You can do direct doses of that. I don't prefer that though. But yeah. Sorry, that was a lot, but that was.
That's a cannot stress that enough. You gave a very detailed. Now people know what to do. That's good.
And I would rather people not lose. An entire flock or half a flock just because they didn't know one of these things. I mean, they're all really important.
And what are signs? What are some signs to tell if your chickens have it?
The best way, like one of the main signs, is like standing still and like hunched up and just like looking like they're cold and their eyes are closed. That's a good indicator. Lethargic. And then if it gets to this point where they're laying on the ground and they're having trouble getting up, it's a more serious case. You can do direct doses of Corid and vitamins. That's what I did with mine, and I had success. So definitely watch, but lethargic and lying on the ground and not able to get up is a good way to.
Something that I had the blood in the poop, and that was when I was like, that's not normal. So I started doing more research on it, and then I started getting more lethargic birds, and I was like, okay, this is what this is. And then I treated for it, and my birds are good now. They were chicks when they got it. So it was they were already kind of more energetic than a normal hen would. I feel like it would have if a hen got it, I feel like she wouldn't have done as good. But as a chick, they've got a little bit more energy to them. So I think they took it really well.
It usually only happens with chicks. It can happen with adults, but usually it's chicks, because when you're putting chicks on grass for the first time and they're actively digging in the soil, that's when it arises. But Yeah.
A lot of the rest of the stuff. Oh, there's like one more little one. I guess that would be internal. If you have like a respiratory issue, I'm just throwing this out there. Something that I use is VetRx. It's like they can eat it, so you can put it in their water. You can directly give it to them. But what I like to do is I like to rub it. It's like an oil base. It has like a eucalyptus smell to it, kind of, but it helps them breathe. And so if I hear a hen that's kind of has like a labored breathing, or if I hear someone like honking, let's say, I'll take it and I'll put it like on their nose and on their wattles and on their beak so they can inhale it. And then when they're sleeping, put it under their wing so that way when they tuck their head in, they're breathing it in as they're sleeping. So it's a good way to prevent respiratory things from happening. And if they have something, it's just a little thing I put in once in a while whenever I hear somebody sneezing or maybe breathing weird. Just throwing that out there.
Do you want to do the last one that we talked about now? The one that you had with motor oil?
Oh.
Happened with the
Yeah, you can do
yeah.
that. You want to do that? You can do that.
No, you can do that because I have a few that I wrote down specifically for
You mean
like just ones that
Frostbite?
yeah.
Yeah. Frostbite.
You can do yeah, you can do because I have
So
a few other ones.
yeah, I have a couple too. We still got a couple left. But Frostbite is, you'll notice it obviously colder months. Typically from like wind. If the wind hits it just right, the combs and the wattles will sometimes it occurs with the chicken's feet as well. But I have it more so in the combs and the wattles. But they'll start to turn like white at first, and then they turn black as they harden. And so what'll happen is I've only dealt with it a couple times, but it'll basically just blacken and harden and then fall off. It's all dead skin now. And I only get it on like the tips of my hen's combs because they have like a insulated coop in the winter and we have hay on the ground, so they're well protected. I don't have it too bad. But a good way to prevent it, I read somewhere, is if you put Vaseline on the comb before a cold spell. It's a good way to protect it because Vaseline is thick. I mean, good luck getting through that stuff. It's also a pain to get off your hands, so if you're using Vaseline, wear gloves because once that stuff's on there, it's not really coming off because obviously it's water resistant. So it's really annoying. But
and it usually happens with roosters.
Because
I mean, and
because
have
roosters
the
have
larger
massive combs. Hens
and then
don't have
any
as big.
single or any single comb chicken is what I've realized. It's more likely to get it because it's a larger comb. It's the single comb instead of something that's smaller.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vaseline is really a good way to protect against it. There's not really any solutions. It will fall off.
Yeah, it will fall off once it blackens, but something that I like to use, and I wrote it down a couple times, but it's something that I really recommend. Vetericyn spray. It's good for a whole bunch of things, but it even says like on the bottle it's good for frostbite. So if my hens get a little bit of frostbite, I'll just spray it on there. And I mean, like I said, I've only dealt with frostbite a little bit, so not fully totally sure if there's really a cure for it. Once they have it, they kind of have it and it'll just fall off. But it's more of a preventative thing. You need to take precautions so that way your flock doesn't get it. It's more so what it is.
There really isn't any solutions for frostbite because you really can't. I mean, think of humans. You can't reverse frostbite with humans either.
Right.
And it will fall off. But is that it for frostbite, or
yeah,
do you have anything else that you wanted to add? Okay.
I have a couple more things, but I mean,
I do too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I have one is crossbeak for me. That's more external. It's genetic. Best thing that I can say with that is don't breed it on. If you get one or two that have it just because it shows up, don't breed. Like if it's a rooster, don't breed that rooster to your flock because probably 25 to 50% will have crossbeak.
Yeah.
Is what I heard. Whether or not that's true or not, I have no clue. But they will be a higher outcome of them having it. Same thing's true with a hen. If a hen has it, don't breed on her offspring. But what you can do to help them live longer, because they usually don't live that long, less than a year is typical. Mine lived for almost 2, and you can do. I fed him separately because it was harder for him to eat because the other hens were really aggressive, and he was not aggressive at all. And just make sure there's enough food at any given time. It was easier for him to free range,
Yeah,
and not live in the tractor that we had because he was a meat bird, and we ended up keeping him because he was crossbeak and he was just, I mean, we developed such a likeness towards him, but he did so much better at free ranging. He gained weight and it was hard for him to eat with other chickens. Now there was a few that I could let out and they'd eat with him, but that's besides the point. But yeah, feed separately, make sure there's enough food, and free range is really the best option for that. And they can live for a long time if you're doing those things. Or if you have anything else that you've been doing, put it in the comments. Like to any of these, if you've done things a different way, put it in the comments. And that's also another great resource for this, is looking in the comments to see what other things people have done, because this is just what we've tried.
yeah,
The other one that I have that kind of goes hand in hand with crossbeak, but it's not, they don't really go hand in hand because they don't usually happen at the same time, is a blind chicken. Same thing with feed, is feed separately or make sure there's enough food, and extra protection like a covered run or maybe locking in a coop if that's an option. Probably not free range unless you're free ranging with a rooster, because the rooster can alert her, and most of the time she won't see danger coming and she will be the first one picked off. So just weigh your options. One good resource that I have found is White House on the Hill.
yeah.
They have a blind chicken. She lives with their flock. They do free range, but they also have access to a couple different coops. Just read on it. We've always said do your own research, and that's continuing into everything that we do.
Yeah.
But anything that you have now?
I do have
Sorry.
a couple more things, actually. I'm gonna fly through them real fast because these are like pretty simple. Well, these should be pretty simple, but I have a couple actually. I'm gonna start with sauerkraut because I see a lot of people talking about this one and like dealing with this one. So sauerkraut is, or impacted crop, I think that's another name for it. I call it sauerkraut, is when something is clogging their crop and it's not digesting properly. So the food or whatever the chickens have ate will just get stuck in the crop and they will start to ferment, and it just gets real nasty because they're not able to digest. And a good way to see if your hen has sauerkraut, the crop, if you know where that is on the chicken body, it'll be massive, just kind of like hanging. It'll feel really wet, or food boob. Yeah, that's the best name.
That's what I call it. The food boob.
But it'll be large, and it'll be kind of watery in there too, liquidy. And then one thing I always notice is my hens will throw up. And that's not normal. You really gotta like watch with that. But my hens will just like throw up at random times, and it's like, oh, so I better check her. So I'll check the crop. And a good way that I like to do with sauerkraut, and I recommend this to a lot of people, if you think your hen has sauerkraut, and typically you would find that during the day, right? Check her in the morning, because food is supposed to digest through the night. So she would have digested all her food. So in the morning, if the crop is flat, she doesn't have sauerkraut because the food was able to digest. But if she still has that large crop, then you will have to treat it. There's a lot of videos out there for this too. But something I see a lot of people doing is making their birds throw up. Don't do that. I don't recommend
Yeah.
making your birds throw up because they can like drown too, and it's not normal for a
Chickens are not made to throw up. Any
yeah
bird is not made to throw up. Their body's just not
yeah
handled or not prepared for that, and you can seriously hurt them. So definitely vote against that. We have
exactly
6 minutes left before we
yeah
should be closing.
yeah
So just a heads up to
yeah. I'm zooming.
go.
But massage gently and try to move the stuff around because she's gonna obviously try to move whatever's blocking it around to let stuff just digest properly. Something I also like to add to their food whenever they're sick like that is apple cider vinegar in their water. It's just a good it's a good booster. I just think it's all around just something good to add. And then to help her to get back to eating, and I recommend this for all if your birds are getting over a sickness, scrambled eggs or yogurt or fresh fruit or frozen fruit, something that'll be appetizing to your birds that would make them want to eat. Because obviously you have a sick bird, a lethargic bird, you want them to be eating and drinking. So if you're putting maybe an appetizing food, not just their normal everyday food that they always eat, they're gonna want to eat that, and it's gonna get them back to their normal health.
Yeah.
But I mean, like some other ones, Bumblefoot, you'll see it. It's a lump on their foot that you just have to Epsom salt bath, remove it. Put Vetericin works for Bumblefoot as well, and then I like to use a honey garlic like salve, and I just basically put it on the wound
And you can
and
tell,
then wrap it up.
and you can tell Bumblefoot
Yeah,
when
you
I
will.
have never had it, but you can tell. And
It'll
that's a
typically it's
soak
a
with warm water,
yeah,
Epsom salt too,
yeah,
7 to 14 days, or till or until gone. And then I think Vaseline also helps.
yeah,
That's been a solution for a lot of these.
yeah.
Um,
It's
yeah,
typically I don't know what it is. I think it's just an infected cut. Maybe the bird got a cut on her foot and it's just kind of gotten infected and it just makes
yeah,
a bumble. You'll see it. You can look up pictures. They have it.
yeah,
The internet is a great place to learn. um
yes.
but uh one more would be
One,
scaly leg mites. Just real quick.
yeah, and that goes. I have parasites slash mites written on
Yeah.
mine, or lice. A good way to prevent against these is, and also to help get rid of them, is diatomaceous earth, often called DE.
Yeah.
Um, Sand is a good one because it chokes out anything like that. And ash. Ash is actually the best out of the three, and that is what I would recommend the most if you have that handy. If not,
Yeah.
sand or diatomaceous earth. Um,
And
and you
typically
can,
your birds, like if they're grooming themselves properly and if they're dusting regularly, they're not going to really have those like parasites on their body. But sometimes, I mean, it does happen. They're animals. So,
yeah. And this also goes with the next one because it's not that common. Um, with parasites and mites and lice. Um, fresh bedding, keeping your coop and run or
yeah.
whatever it is where they are clean can do so much against not all of these, but
Yeah.
definitely parasites, mites, and lice.
Because they're just
Um,
living in that. And then that's just like
yeah,
making them
it's
thrive off of it.
nasty.
And
Yeah.
yeah, keep a clean coop.
Two things with water, fresh water must. If you have ducks and you have a duck pool water is not clean. Do not use that. I mean they will drink it. Keep water clean, whether fresh water, you can do your duck water every other day or whatever. Fresh water for your waters is a must. And standing in water, like if you have a lot of rain and their run is completely drowned,
Mm-hmm.
is a no. They can actually stop laying from just being in water, like standing water for 12 hours, and
That's
they can stop
interesting.
laying for up to 2 months because of that.
Wow.
Um, I've read a lot of stuff on it. Um,
That's
but
interesting.
two other things that I want to very quickly go over before we close it out is weak shells and grit. Grit is good to ground up food in their crop. So that's also probably a good way to prevent against sour crop as well.
Yep.
And weak shells, we're speeding along in this last part, sorry y'all, but weak shells, add calcium. You can crush up your eggshells, put them in scrambled eggs, feed them back to your hens, crush up the shells, give them to them.
Yeah, and
that'll help with
that'll help with egg bound in case your hen gets egg bound with a soft shelled or vent prolapse or whatever. Just a calcium or
and not too much calcium, because calcium buildups can happen outside of the egg where it's not completely smooth and it can actually tear your hen. Not fun. Never gone through it. I don't want to go through it. I monitor my hens every time they run out in the morning. I check all their butts, make sure nothing's wrong, and then monitor them throughout the day.
That too.
But I guess we're getting down to the last minute or two.
Yep, I think that's everything.
So all of this stuff is, of course, take with a grain of salt. Some things might not work for you. Some things may work for you, but ultimately do your own research.
This is stuff from our experiences. This is from our experiences, stuff that we've done. But we've learned it off of other people too. So, like I said, YouTube, look it up, ask some people. You can ask us.
If
we're here.
Yeah. If you know people who have had chickens, they will gladly tell you a solution to help. Anyone really, if they've gone through this, they can help, and if not, they can guide you in the right direction. But do your own research, and again, comments. Hopefully we'll get some comments that are showing like what they did and how it can help and things like that. But I think that's all for this episode. I think this is what, 12?
12 or is this
I think
13?
it's sorry to put you on the spot like that.
13.
Okay,
I think it's 13.
Yes.
So thanks so much for watching. We hope this video helped you out, or maybe informed you a little bit, just in case this does happen to any of your birds. But thanks so much for watching. We will see you all in the next episode. See ya.
Yes, I will see you in the next one.